Hi, my name is Kari Pendleton. I am the coffee director of Overflow Coffee Bar, and today I will be teaching you how to brew a Chemex at home. We are so grateful that you have taken the time to watch our coffee brewing videos, where my husband John and I last Friday gave an introduction to our new coffee series. And we're just very grateful to have you along for the journey. So today, before we get into brewing our Chemex, I wanted to show you just the equipment that you'll need to do that. So you'll need to, of course, have your Chemex brewer. You'll need to have the proper filter that goes with it. So this is the cone-shaped filter in the Chemex brewer. You'll also need a kettle, your scale, a spoon to stir the bloom with, as well as your favorite coffee and your favorite mug. So you'll see me demonstrating every step on how to brew the Chemex and explaining that as I do it in just a moment, but I wanted to make sure that we had all the appropriate equipment to get going before we did that. So please feel free to let me know if you have any questions as you watch the video about my equipment or the recipe or anything of that nature. I'd be more than happy to dialogue with you because this is what this space is created for us to start a conversation around coffee, for us to enjoy making coffee together and sharing the tips and tricks that we use in making our coffee at home. So I look forward to demonstrating how to brew the Chemex, and I'll talk to you soon. As we begin to brew our Chemex, what we have to do first is install the filter. So you want to make sure that the multiple folds of your cone filter are at the tip of the spout and that the single pour is at the back of the Chemex. You're then going to preheat all of your paper, the filter paper, and the brewing equipment by pouring your water over the top of it to just ensure that you remove any sort of filter taste, paper taste, and heat up your brewer. This is really, really important because you want to make sure that you don't lose any heat as we brew the coffee by having cold equipment. From there, we're going to make sure that we dose in 42 grams of coffee. So you want to make sure your scale is tiered at 0 so that when you pour in the coffee, that's all that is measuring. And you want to make sure that it's 42 grams exactly and that your grind size is about a medium coarseness, roughly resembling kosher salt. You then want to make sure that you level the coffee bed to ensure that you have even extraction as you begin to pour. You're going to re-tare your scale and start your timer or set the timer to 0 so that you'll be ready to start it when you begin the bloom. So at this point, I am starting the first pour, which is called the bloom. This will be 150 grams and 45 seconds long. And this point is really important. You want to make sure that you pour evenly in a spiral motion. You want to make sure that you stir so that you can be sure that all the grounds are saturated and that everything is nice and wet. We're going to wait again until we get to 45 seconds and then start our second pour. The bloom is where all of the gas is escaping out of the coffee and when we're just getting everything nice and wet to continue to brew. For the second pour, we're going to go from 45 seconds until start at 45 seconds, and then you're going to pour until 450 grams of water. And you want to make sure that you, again, do that in a spiral motion at a really steady pace. You don't want to start and stop pouring, but you want to have one continual pour until you get to 450 grams. You want to make sure that you're avoiding hitting any already light spots, but are hitting darker spots that you see while you're pouring in that spiral motion. We're going to wait until the timer then reads 145. And at 145, you'll start your last and final pour. So at this point, your scale should be reading 450 grams of water. And you're waiting until your time gets to 1 minute and 45 seconds. When the scale reads 1 minute and 45 seconds, you're going to start your last and final pour. This will be until 700 grams even. So you want to again start that slow spiral pour until you get to 700 grams, avoiding any already light spots, but trying to hit any darker spots you see, making sure that you're pouring evenly and steadily. This is really important because you don't want to over agitate the grounds or make the grounds uneven, which would mean as the coffee is dripping, you're not going to have an even extraction, which will affect the taste. So you want to make sure that you're pouring slow and steady in an even circular motion, just avoiding those already lighter spots and just hitting the darker spots. You want to stop when you get to 700 grams, and at this point we're just going to wait until our until our coffee drips out. That should take us right to the 4-minute mark. Then you're going to remove the filter, toss it to the side, or put it in a little glass, which you can see I've done, and then swirl the coffee around, and then you've got yourself a Chemex. So if you have any questions about how we brewed the Chemex today, please be sure to leave them in the comments below, and we look forward to seeing you soon.